Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Here we are for another Karen Read-a-thon. Karen Read update.
Reading is fundamental, Rebecca.
Reading is fundamental. As you know, like a lot of people in the greater Boston area, the Karen Read case has become a large portion of my personality.
Right. But today's Tuesday. They were off today, not back on in court till Wednesday. And there's the whole thing we've got to talk about at some point, like this on-off schedule.
I actually think the on-off trial schedule has been very helpful for the, quote, storyline of this case.
So it makes it so tantric.
It's like, it's like Game of Thrones.
So what could you possibly be talking about on the off day?
Well, one thing that you very often tell me is that, like, you don't know who people are. You don't know where things started.
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
There's a lot going on. So I just want to fill you in on a couple of things. I got a couple of questions today from listeners. And so I wanted to go back and do some research. So it caused me to do that. But then also I realized there are some fundamental things about this case that I've never really told you about that I really wanted to tell you about.
All right.
So do you know how it is that this entire, I hate calling it's not a conspiracy theory. It is a plausible conspiracy
cover-up.
It's a plausible cover-up theory, really. I think the word conspiracy theory is has been associated now with things that are
conspiracies
so bizarre.
and conspiracies. Yeah. There is to conspire, and there are conspiracy theories.
Correct, and this is a plausible conspiracy theory that makes me uncomfortable calling it that. But anyway, and by the way, I just want to make it clear, it is plausible in my mind that Karen Read did hit John O'Keefe with her car, but to me it doesn't matter at this point because reasonable doubt is just everywhere. I'll tell you my opinion is that what I've seen so far of the injury stuff doesn't line up with that, but then again we haven't heard from the experts, so I'm just going to put a pin in that because we haven't seen that evidence yet.
Right, okay.
But do you know how this all started for Karen Read?
I don't.
Okay.
You mean like an arrest or like even before that?
Well, in terms of how the Read side just became aware that something else might be going on.
I mean, is it the federal investigation?
No.
Okay.
So
Tell me.
Karen Read was arrested in February in 2022.
Yeah. Now take us back, right?
Yeah. Yes. Take us back. She was arraigned, and at her arraignment, she was asserting that this was an accident, a horrible, tragic accident. Like that she believed she hit him. Like she may have hit him, and it was a horrible accident. And her lawyer at the time, she only had David Yannetti at that point, who I will talk about in a minute, in court, was like, this is not a homicide. This is not a manslaughter case. This is just a tragic accident. And so that was kind of what they were asserting at that time. But on the drive home from the arraignment, her lawyer, Yannetti, returned a call from a tipster who had called his office. A man with a gravelly voice, who initially offered up a fake name, picked up the phone and told Yannetti something to the effect of, quote, "Your client is innocent. John was beaten up by Brian Albert and his nephew. They broke his nose, and when O'Keefe didn't come to, Brian and a federal agent dumped his body on the front lawn." Okay, so I should say an attorney for the man Yannetti identified as a tipster denies Yannetti's version of these events. So anyway,
all right, but this is how where that comes from.
This is how it all started.
Okay.
So given the new information, given this, they realized that Brian Higgins, who I mentioned yesterday, Brian Higgins is a special agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. He was in that house on Fairview, which is the house where the party took place. He is a federal agent. They later found out that Colin Albert is the nephew of Brian Albert, so he was also in the house. Karen, at this point, actually wasn't aware of who all was in the house before this tip came in. Okay. This tip came in, and then later they put together who all was in the house and realized that this tipster was actually identifying who was actually in the house that night. And that's how this theory started sort of kind of gelling for the defense team, sort of based on this tip. Before they even saw federal stuff, before they saw other reports, that's kind of where it started. So there's something else. So Read asserts that when she heard this, She was transported back to a night in 2020 when O'Keefe's home security alarm went off, and Colin Albert and other teenagers were in his front yard saying, and he said, "Go fuck yourself," Colin Albert said. Read says that they remember having an altercation and that the couple awoke the next morning to a bunch of empty Bud Light cans thrown in the bushes, so that Colin and O'Keefe had prior beef. So that's what happened back in February of 2022, okay? So that's how this whole thing, like the seeds of this all began, and then that's when the defense started pursuing this other theory of the case. I didn't actually realize, I wasn't following it at the time, that she actually believed that this was a horrible accident, and that's what she asserted at her arraignment. So that's very interesting. So her defense team, do you want to hear about them?
Please, yeah.
Okay. So David Yannetti is a former very high-profile prosecutor from the state of Massachusetts. He's now obviously in private practice, but he was a prosecutor who prosecuted a lot of gang cases, including a very high-profile white supremacy gang case.
Okay.
There was a case, you might remember, from the 90s where a bunch of white kids had the tattoo N-words. It was like ND, but which meant N-words die. And he prosecuted that case. Privately won a new trial for a guy named Roland Finney, a Lowell man who spent 16 years in prison for a murder he didn't commit.
Okay.
So that's her Boston-based attorney.
All right.
Further into the case, she decides that she needs a bigger gun to join Yannetti, and I guess Yannetti also agrees. So she decides to reach out to this guy, Alan Jackson, in California.
Right. Great singer.
Alan Jackson is a former prosecutor also, who got Phil Spector convicted in 2009, among a lot of other high-profile cases.
Okay.
In private practice, he's represented Harvey Weinstein, Kevin Spacey in his Nantucket charges, so he obviously has a Massachusetts bar license, a Saudi prince, an NBA player, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow. That's a big swinging dick, yeah.
She emailed him, and basically the email subject line was something like "dead Massachusetts cop" or "dead Boston cop" was the subject line. So he gave this email interview to Boston Magazine and said that he became, quote, intrigued by Karen Read's case after initially speaking with her about obtaining cell phone data. He said, quote, "Once I heard the full story of John's death and saw some of the evidence, including the injuries on his right arm, I knew something was terribly wrong. I wanted to help. I got into this business to right wrongs, and there was no way I was going to walk away from this case." So that's Alan Jackson's story. So she does have a crackerjack defense team.
Yeah.
Karen Read, by the way, is a successful person. She's since lost her job after all this, but she's in finance. She's also an adjunct professor, I think, at Bentley University, but she's a fairly successful person. So anyway, that's just some background of like kind of how this whole thing got started, which I think is interesting. But another question that I got from a listener is, why would the state even bring these charges given like all the discrepancies, given even just the texts on Proctor's phone? I don't actually know the answer, but I have a theory. Like, have you thought about this? Like, why would they even bring like these charges?
I mean, the one thing that I thought is that the cops wanted this, so the prosecutor said, "Oh, okay," and they're kind of like locked in now to this story. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's
I sort of think like I think the state took a bet that she would take a plea, and she didn't. And they upped the charges thinking she would take a plea, and she didn't. I actually think the state just made a bad bet that she wouldn't fight it. And I don't think they believed that she was going to hire like, basically the legal dream team and fight this shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But they can't drop it now. They just can't, you know what I mean? They're like pot committed. I don't know. That's my opinion on that. So I got a few questions that I just wanted to address about, like, I said some stuff about missing videos. I mentioned that. Like, what missing videos, what am I talking about? So I'm going to tell you about the missing videos I know about. Okay, so I did some research today and on my notes, and then looked also some reporting, and I found another one that I actually didn't know about before today.
Okay.
So the missing videos that I now know about after my initial research, and then after my new research from today, and after watching the trial. So there are 2 missing Ring camera videos from John O'Keefe's Ring account. Do you know
the victim? Yes.
Yeah. Do you know what that's about?
Well, let's see. I think that I don't know if it's missing, but I mean they relied on, I believe, that ring video to show Karen Read pulling out of the driveway that night or about that time, where she may have struck the car next to her. It was also in the driveway, which could account for damage to the car.
Right, but that's not actually his ring video.
That's not his ring video.
Correct.
So am I wrong?
Right, but the issue is, she went back. Mm-hmm. She says, dropped him off at the Fairview house. That's where the events leading to his death happened. Right. She claims she dropped him off at the house and then went to his house to go to sleep.
Right.
The story is she went to his house, was basically like, go inside, see if it's cool for me to be there. Because, I don't know why she would say that, maybe based on who's there, whatever. Right. He went in, never came out. So she drove off, went to his house because she lives in like a different town. Okay.
Right. Okay.
She went to his house, and then, so she arrived at his house at like 12:40 in the morning, and then left his house at about, found out that he woke up at like 4 something in the morning, realized he wasn't there, and left. There are 2 event alerts on John O'Keefe's phone at those 2 times, and no videos from those 2 times. Okay?
Okay, so it recorded movement or person detected.
Correct.
But the actual videos, because you can go in and delete them.
Correct.
So, okay.
And
with an app from his phone. Okay, I'm starting to see some. Okay.
Or you can just by accessing you can access the footage somehow and delete the video.
Yeah.
The police had her phone. If she had access to the account and deleted it, the prosecution would have said so.
Right.
The police sort of intimated that she deleted it. There's no evidence she deleted it. If they had that evidence, they would have shown it. Okay.
Right.
So those are 2 allegedly missing videos that I know about. Okay.
Right. And to delete it, one would need John's phone.
Correct.
All right. Yeah.
All right. So another piece of missing footage is the missing library footage that I referred to before. And that is the footage where she would have driven by the library, and that would have shown that there was not significant damage to her taillight as she was leaving the Fairview house. Okay. We talked about that. There is another missing piece of footage. 42 minutes of footage is missing that night from the Sally Port, which is where the car was brought.
Sally Port's like the garage area where one would...
Correct. And the Alberts, there's a big question as to not whether or not they had a video camera at their house. Now remember, Brian Albert is a cop.
Right.
His neighbor directly across the street is also a cop, like an assistant police chief.
Yeah.
Apparently, reporting at the time, from WBZ News, from other outlets, say that there is ring footage from that house across the street.
Okay.
That ring footage is now nowhere to be found. It's gone. It's not in evidence anywhere. It just appears to be gone, and the guy is saying he does not have any footage from that night. Okay. But there's early reporting that says there was ring footage that night. Okay. The Alberts say they had a doorbell camera, like a Nest camera, but, quote, had not installed it yet.
Okay.
So there's a potential piece of missing video footage. Okay.
So I wonder what's on. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
What's on the wall? All right, yeah.
There is also a very big time discrepancy that I just learned about that I want to tell you about. All right. So Karen Read was arrested at her parents' house in this town. Is it pronounced Dighton, this town?
Yeah.
I've never even seen this. This is one of those towns that you know how to pronounce.
I've never seen that town.
It must be Dighton. It's Dighton. Okay. So she was arrested on the evening of, or she wasn't arrested. She was questioned and her car was taken on the evening of the 29th, right? She wasn't arrested that time. Her car was taken. So she was questioned by Proctor on the evening of the 29th at her parents' house.
And Proctor is the lead investigator, the state trooper who was on the stand.
Correct.
And is a big deal.
Correct.
Because they are implying misconduct or malfeasance on his part. Okay, continue.
And there's also an internal investigation being done over his conduct.
That's a whole other thing, yes.
In some case. And that internal investigation, by the way, is being done by the Commonwealth. This is in addition to the federal investigation.
Oh, shit. Okay, so many things. Many things. Okay. All right.
And by the way, Proctor's boss is Buchanan.
Who's that?
Who we also saw on the stand before that. Okay. Buchanan, it was on the stand before Proctor.
Okay. All right. I think I'm following.
All right. So Read's lawyers have realized that according to Proctor's original affidavit in February, okay, so he gave an affidavit in February about this January 29th visit to her parents' house and questioning of her.
Mm-hmm.
He said he arrived at Reed's parents' house in Dighton at 4:30 p.m. and then towed her car at 5:30 p.m. But the Reeds have a Ring camera. And their security footage, as well as the Dighton police report, shows that his times are wrong. Karen's SUV was actually towed at 4:12. There's a 78-minute discrepancy between when he says he took possession of the car and when the car was actually taken into police possession.
So we have a time code for when it arrived at the station. And
no, we have a report for when they said it arrived.
So can that just be a mistake?
The time codes on the Sallyport video are all fucked up.
Okay.
That is a big issue.
All right, well, that's okay. Well, I thought the Sallyport would show something.
Okay,
but no.
So that's not trustworthy. Those aren't trustworthy at all, because which we'll get to in a second. So Reed and her attorneys claim that Proctor was alone with the car for like more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because he's claiming he took it into possession like an hour later than he actually did. All right, so that's something that we know. There's also, by the way, the Sallyport tape itself. Now, listeners complained that I did not discuss this in our update last night.
Okay.
So let's just discuss it. This was the heart of the Buchanan testimony. Buchanan is Proctor's supervisor. During Buchanan's time on the stand, Lally, who is the state prosecutor for the Commonwealth, presented Sallyport video in an attempt to show that there was no molestation of Karen's SUV in the Sallyport of the police department. Okay. And basically, while showing this video to the jury, he said, see, no one is walking toward the taillight. No one is on that side of the car. Nobody's messing with that side of the car. Meanwhile, in the video, there were people walking on the other side of the rear of the car, right?
Showing, there are people there, but they're nowhere near the taillight in question because they're on the other side of the car,
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
But guess what?
But
the video was inverted.
Yes.
They were showing the wrong side of the car.
So everybody actually was walking past it, but it only looked like they weren't because it was a mirror image.
Correct. And Buchanan has no explanation for that except to say, when you look at your face in a mirror, that's also inverted, but you're seeing your face. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not pretending the left side of your face is the right side of your face, right?
Yeah. That reminds me of Perry Mason season 2. That was the only Perry Mason moment Perry Mason had, was when he confronted the guy about the inverted fingerprint.
Right.
So, okay.
So another thing I just want to mention about the video, there were wild timestamp jumps in the video, like all over the place. Buchanan had no explanation for those. He would just say, I don't know. I'm just seeing those now. And then at one point, he said, that camera doesn't run unless someone's in front of it. It's motion activated. But then there'd be a timestamp jump and somebody would already be there.
So it didn't activate?
No.
When somebody, okay.
So it wasn't like it would timestamp jump because somebody was walking in. It would timestamp jump and there'd be like two guys standing there. It's just not, it's clearly not a good faith answer. One third thing about the video.
Yeah.
Earlier in his testimony, somebody asked, "Is that Proctor in the video?" And he's like, "Yeah, it is." Or like, and then on the stand later, he's like, "No, I don't know. I don't know if that's Proctor. I don't know." He just kept denying it was Proctor in the video over and over and over again. So that whole thing about
I'm sure Proctor will identify himself as being the person in the video.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. So that's a thing that listeners asked me to address: the prosecutors, the video, and finally, folks wanted me to talk about Brian Alpert and stuff he did after the incident, which I think I addressed a little bit. But yes, Brian Alpert did in fact upgrade his phone after being told not to get rid of his phone. He did in fact sell his home after O'Keefe was killed. He claims he had already planned to do that. But there's apparently there's no, like, that's not in the records anywhere that they've submitted. He did in fact rehome his dog Chloe. They say that Chloe got into a fight with another dog. And and that's why they rehomed his German Shepherd.
Now with a person.
Yes.
Okay.
And Brian Higgins, who is the ATF agent.
By the way, didn't he do like something in the basement of that home?
Allegedly, he also replaced the floor of the basement before selling it. Yes.
So covered it up with concrete.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
better than bleach.
Yes.
Just saying. Okay.
And the thing that we didn't mention about Brian Higgins, who's the ATF agent who also testified and read a bunch of flirty text messages between himself and Karen Read. When he got rid of his cell phone at that military base in Cape Cod, he also got rid of it in a very suspiciously timed way. The day before he would have received notice to get rid of his phone. Right. So anyway, those were the things I wanted to talk about. So the
tip was, or the original tip was, that O'Keefe was beaten up in is it Alpert?
Beaten up in the Alpert house.
In the Alpert house.
By Brian
in the basement.
Alpert.
By Brian Alpert and somebody else.
And his nephew,
Colin. And his nephew
and
in
then
the basement.
Left in the snow.
And then left in the snow.
Yes.
And since that time, Alpert has gotten rid of his phone, gotten rid of the dog, gotten rid of the house, and apparently did something with the basement where any trace evidence that would have been on the floor is now underneath a new layer of concrete. Right?
Apparently.
Or cement or whatever you...
Apparently.
Apparently.
Or just laminate floor or whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. We won't even get into how all these phones that everybody keeps getting rid of kept butt dialing everybody that night. Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's going to come out with the defense evidence, because the butt dial stuff is every single, I'll just say, and we weren't covering this earlier, but yes, so many witnesses.
People at the party.
People later. Apparently all of their phones were butt dialing each other constantly. The most suspicious one, of course, being like 20-something butt dials to John O'Keefe's phone.
Right.
That weren't picked up, which is not how a butt dial works. It's the whole
certainly
thing
seems like it's somebody searching for that phone, because that's what I do when I can't find my phone.
Yeah, well, that's
or look for your phone. Somebody calls it.
We don't know.
Keeps listening for it. Yeah.
That being said, this is why I am most looking forward to the defense experts, because we can say what we think. The experts will say what they think, and they're a lot more qualified than we are.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to this cross-examination of Trooper Proctor, because I think that's going to if not bear a lot of fruit, it should be super entertaining.
Exactly, or as one of our listeners called him, Trooper Proctor.
Trooper Proctor.
All right, Kevin, do you feel a little bit more like read in now?
I've read into the Read case.
Yes.
Yeah, wicked great.
All right.
Good update, Rebecca.
Thank you, and I will see each other, I hope, tomorrow.
Partners in Crime Media.